All right, today we are going to be determining the best method for solving systems of equations. So that is our objective. We will be able to determine which method to use when solving systems of equations. So there are three. Methods. We have graphing, we have substitution, and elimination. So the last three lessons have been on solving systems by graphing, solving systems using substitution, and solving systems using the elimination method. Graphing. We use graphing, and graphing is the best choice when both equations are in y equals mx plus b form. So when both equations are in slope-intercept form, that's graphing is the best method to use. Substitution. We use substitution when one or both equations are solved for a variable. So what that means is if we have an x equals equation or a y equals equation or two y equals equations, that's when we would use substitution. Elimination. We use when the coefficients of x or y are the same or opposite. Elimination would be the best method for that. So we could easily solve for one variable. So, for example, if we were given the system y equals negative x plus 2 and y equals 2x minus 1, these both equations slope-intercept form. So we would use graphing. And if graph paper was easily accessible. If not, this one could also be solved using elimination. Personally, I think graphing is easier than elimination. But if you don't have that piece of graph paper handy when doing these, I would use elimination for this. So graphing usually is done best method when you have graph paper available as well. So make sure that you have graph paper for that. All right, example 2. Example 2, if we had an equation that said y equals 2x plus 5, and the second equation in that system was x equals y minus 1. So these are both solved for different variables, but because this equation is solved for y and this equation is solved for x, substitution would be best method here. Example 3. If we had this system here, because our y's have opposite coefficients. Elimination would be the best method there. So when looking at your system of equations, if they're both in slope-intercept form or y equals mx plus b form, that is when you would use graphing. When you have equations that are solved for variables, that is when you would use substitution. And when you have equations where they have opposite coefficients or the same coefficient, that is when you would use elimination. So what I mean by same coefficients is if we had 3x plus 2y equals 8 and 8x plus 2y equals 12, this we would also use elimination for. Because remember, you can add the equations together, or you can subtract the equations from each other to cancel out one of the variables. So elimination works whenever you have coefficients that are the same number for the same variable, or when they are opposite numbers. So go ahead and complete your worksheet by determining whether to use graphing, substitution, or elimination, and I'll see you next time.